Hey, I'm Rae Jepsen, and you are watching Noise11.com.
And we welcome to Noise11.com, Rae Jepsen. Good to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Down this side of the hemisphere, the southern hemisphere, for the first time.
I know, and it's raining.
Yeah, but at least it's good to have someone from the British Commonwealth come and visit us down in Australia every now and then.
Well, I'm looking forward to coming back later on when it's nice and hot too.
Yeah. And you've just about been the hottest thing on the planet with Call Me Maybe. Wow, what a hit that's been for you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that one in just a moment. Going back to the start now, though, I mean, the Canadian Idol thing back in 2007, and you came third.
I did, yes.
Did you think it was all over then?
Actually, I felt like for me, I wasn't expecting to get anywhere with that show. So placing third, I felt like it was all kind of beginning. Like I had my first 15 minutes of Canadian fame, and finally I could run with it, and I could, make those connections with those producers and managers to really put out a CD of original tunes.
Yeah, and how did it change your life? Because suddenly everybody in the country would have recognised your face.
Well, I say 15 minutes, and it really was 15 minutes. Like, you become kind of a household name for a couple months, and then just as soon you're kind of gone. And I think all of the top 10 finalists on that show were left in this feeling of purgatory, like, what's gonna happen? Am I gonna explode, or is it gonna just sort of end here for me? And I felt really scared that I wouldn't utilize the opportunity properly. So as soon as the show was done, I spent all my energy just sort of knocking on every door and meeting with past contestants who were successful and just talking to them. And that's when I decided to put out Tug of War through a P&D deal.
Yeah, so that was your therapy session.
It was sort of just, my way of putting out songs that I'd written, kind of like journal entry, singer-songwriter stuff. And I had no real expectation for the album. I just was so excited to put out some songs that I'd written after doing a reality show where it was all covers. It was just really nice to say, like, okay, that was fun, but here's what I'm really about.
Well, I guess had you won the Canadian Idol that year, you wouldn't have been able to do the Tug of War album.
Exactly. Yeah, they kind of would have, you could be involved in co-writes, but I think in general the songs are kind of like done for you, and that was never something that interested me. However, I have to be honest, at the time you get wrapped up in the show, and I wanted to win. I'm competitive, so.
Yeah. Well, according to the Guinness Book of Records, I don't know if there is a Guinness Book of Records for this, but Call Me Maybe makes you the first Canadian Idol to not only have a hit in Australia but also the UK.
Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah. I've got to find that page in the Guinness Book.
Yeah. I think the Guinness Book of Records needs to add that into next year.
Yes. Okay. All right. We'll tell them.
That'd be pretty cool stuff. Yeah, you did an interesting cover version of John Denver's Sunshine on My Shoulders a few years ago too, didn't you?
I did. In fact, that was the first song to really be picked up by radio. I remember my dad being like, really, John Denver? And I was like, yeah, he is cool, okay? And I just sort of, I grew up in a household where I was listening to what my parents loved, which was Van Morrison and James Taylor and Bruce Springsteen and all that. So I really began my career as sort of a folkier artist, like very singer-songwriter, journal entry type songs. And it was really cool for me to move to the city and all of a sudden get little tastes of pop and dance flavors, because I became extremely attracted to that. And with my second EP, Call Me Maybe, Curiosity, Call Me Maybe was sort of a good representation of where my genre has sort of changed.
Well, Curiosity is, again, amazing success right around the world. And I guess part and parcel to that guy you hired as a PR agent, Justin Bieber. Yeah, he's very, very good publicity hound for you.
Oh my goodness, that was the twist of my life. The day that he tweeted about the song was pretty crazy.
That must have been, like one of those pinch me moments, wasn't it?
Yeah, it kind of began with my sister just calling me and kind of hyperventilating on the phone before I could finally calm her down and realize what she was actually saying, that Justin Bieber had tweeted about the song and that he liked it, thought it was catchy, and it was just timed out that he was home for Christmas right when it was getting some radio play, and him and Scooter Braun eventually found out that I was signed to a label in Canada, but I was available for the rest of the world, and they they made an offer.
So Scooter owns the record label with Justin?
Schoolboy Records.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does the relationship between you and I guess label head Justin Bieber work? Does he sit behind a desk? Do you have to go in and have meetings with him?
He's really amazing. He's just been like a huge supporter. He's not really taken on like the boss role per se. He's just more taken on like, he's opened the door to the rest of the world. He basically said, Call Me Maybe is a big hit in Canada and we can't get anyone else. We just have to make other people hear it. And they were true to their word. I felt like all that they were saying to me was too good to be true at the time, but it happened faster than I would have ever imagined. It was crazy.
And Call Me Maybe, tell me about the writing process for that, because you co-wrote that song.
Yeah, it was written by myself and two of my very dear friends, Josh Ramsey from a band called Mariana's Trench, and Tavish Crow, who is in fact my guitarist and the guy who gets the number at the end of the video with the little toot. And yeah, it began as it was a really easy song to write. It began sort of as a folky tune that Tav and me were just jamming out while we were on the road together. And when I sing sort of the lyrics, they just kind of, how sometimes it just comes out and you're like, oh, okay, that'll do. And we brought the idea to Josh, and he just he adds this like pop dynamic to anything he touches, and just sort of had all these ideas. And by the end of the day, it was probably done within 3 days. And
wow.
And then I know some songs have taken me like 8 months to write, and then there you go, 3 days, and it's recorded and finished.
Yeah, I mean the quick songs, are they always the best songs?
That's a good question. I think I don't know enough yet. I haven't tested the waters with my 8-month track yet enough to be able to answer that properly. But I know that there is a feeling I have when the song is done, and it's just sort of like peace with it, that you know that whether people hate it or not, you're going to be okay, because in your own heart it feels like a fair representation of what you're about. And I had that with the 8th month. It just took 8 months to get there. And I had that with Call Me Maybe. It just took 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you constantly write?
Constantly, yes. On the planes a lot lately, because that's where I get most of my off time. But I find that it's something that I can't picture not doing at this point. Began kind of really getting into lyrics and stuff when I was 17, and haven't really been able to cope with life without sort of having a notepad and a guitar close by.
Have you written anything while you've been in Australia?
You know what? No, I have not. I actually adjusted 2 lyrics to a song that I began when I was in Paris, but not a newbie yet. However, I hope that will happen. To be pretty cool to say.
Yeah, well, I hope something comes out before you go home.
All right. Well, just say something inspiring, and I'm sure I'll go write it down later on.
Say something inspiring. There's probably a title there. Say something inspiring. Yeah. You've, I mean, this journey has given you a chance to do a lot of fun things. You got to perform on the Ellen Show for a start.
I did.
How was that?
It's a good question. I was one of those out-of-body experiences. It was my first ever, TV show, especially of that caliber. And I remember driving to Ellen. I remember some sort of conversation, and then I remember leaving. I actually got on the phone with my brother afterwards, and he's like, so what did she ask you? I was like, I don't remember. I think sound came out of my mouth, but I don't remember what I said or what she said. I just was gaping at her blue eyes the entire time, and that was that.
What are some of the other shows you've done then?
Well, we've done a couple of different ones. We did The View, Daybreak when we were in London, and just, the early morning ones are always tough because I'm not a morning woman. I like to get my 8 to 10 hours if I can and roll out of bed around 12, but hey, I'm getting used to it. It's definitely worth it.
How do your friends treat you now?
My friends are my friends, and they always will be. I mean, I would be weirded out if they changed at all. So far, so good. Everyone's just been really proud and happy because they've kind of seen this sort of, journey from the beginning when I was playing at Piccadilly pubs and I was going around town, stapling my own, show posters and selling my merch at the tables. And they've been through it all. And it means a lot to me when they come to the big shows now, because they were the ones that were there when nobody else was in the crowd, handing out the hat to get the change from the tables and stuff. And I very much value that.
Having been through that, when artists come up to you and say, give me some advice, what do you tell them?
I think back to Idol, and as hard as it was to go through sort of a reality TV show, there was a lot of lessons that I think I learned from that show. One of them being that, it's really important to find out what is different about you. And I used to think, I got to try to be like that or that or that. And as soon as I sort of embraced, I can just be me and hone in on that originality that separates me from A and B and C, then that's when I really started to feel like things took off.
One final one. What are we going to be hearing musically from you next?
That's for me to know and you to wonder. I wish I had a better answer than that. I have a lot of ideas, but I'm hesitant to say the second single because I'm in a debate right now between two songs. I can't decide.
Oh.
I wrestle with the decision every day.
Yeah.
But soon it's coming. So I have to bite the bullet. I'm going to have to throw a listening party and make everyone vote. Okay.
And will we be hearing any special guests or maybe duets be coming from you soon?
Well, yeah, actually, I worked on a song with Justin, but we haven't decided when we're releasing it yet. It's a song that he wrote. We actually worked on it together the first day that I met him, and if I had my way, I would show you that one right now because I love it.
What's it called?
I'm not allowed to say. I pinky sweared, so I'm on lockdown until the release day.
Is it going to be on his album as well?
We haven't really decided if it's going to be on his album or on my album or on both. At this point, we're just sort of, getting the finishing touches added and waiting to see when it's right to share it.
Well, that just means we've got a continuing story. So, we'll find out the answers to all of these mysteries next time she comes to Australia and talks to us here at Noise 11.
Yeah, and it'll be sunny that time. I'm just saying it right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully it will be.
Yeah, that's right. Come back in summer. Carly Rae, thank you for joining us here at noise11.com.